this ship takes off. And if it do, okay, it looks like we're live and thriving. Let me just make sure it pops up on the internet, and then, cool. Dude, we're about to give them a whole lot of fingers. Let me just run the intro music. I'd take off the headphones. This shit could be loud.
Heard. Thank you for the heads up.
Oh, I can't spend the nose. Oh, can't tell me home. Did you see it? I'm glad stop by. Take him to him, baby. Take him up again. Oh, can you tell me who?
The old problem used to be that the intro music was too long, but now that I added visuals, it makes for a perfect buffer of 60 seconds of nonsense.
No, it's so good though.
But let's pick up with Snot Rockets.
Yeah.
You ever find yourself in the middle of singing a song and there's something lingering in the back of your throat that may look like the character from the Mucinex commercials?
Oh yeah.
And you got to figure out what to do with him?
See, I'm wild. I will play. This is like a shout out Zens. Fucking sponsor me. I will sing with a Zen in my mouth.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
There's degrees of zenning, correct?
Yeah.
How intense are your zens?
I'm a 10 out of 10.
No.
I'm a professional zenner. At this point, absolutely.
So you don't like caffeine, but you like nicotine a lot?
Nicotine helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how does it help? Like, does it help the ADHD you're
It
saying?
just wakes up the brain for me.
Gotcha.
Like we were talking about coffee. I can't drink coffee.
And what's the difference between you playing a gig with the zen and without the zen?
There's probably not much difference, but
Okay. It's more just like the feeling of it.
Yeah.
Is it
I
the
think so.
high of it that you enjoy? Like, is there an
I think honestly it's the oral fixation of it.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
That seems like the weirdest part to me is like having this like icy hot on your gum.
Oh, I love it.
Dude, no, I couldn't. I could not.
I love it.
I miss the oral fixation of smoking a lot, but I also feel like occasionally I go to cigars and that's enough for me.
Yeah.
And it's been nice to step away from that. But boy, did I never realize like the back and forth that really does get you by the
For sure.
balls. But you know, having anything to kind of fix you, like as guitar players, we suck on guitar picks, which I think is making our immune system stronger.
Absolutely. A little Dwight Schrute action. Yeah.
What is the Dwight Schrute action?
Oh, what does he say? He either doesn't wash his hands, all the oh, what does he say? I know he says that we need a new plague, and that might be true.
That's so deep. Well, if we're gonna approach on plagues, we might as well talk about incoming wars, which could be biological. I'm convinced that Walgreens is trying to take me out.
Walgreens?
No.
I could see it. They're big enough.
The Walgreens by my house sells liquor, and I'm like, you shouldn't be allowed to sell me my pharmaceuticals and liquor at the same time.
That's a dangerous combo.
Yeah, because I like a discount. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'll put my phone number in
You
and find
say
out.
2 for 1, you get your meds and you get like a bottle of Jack or something to
Dude.
go along with it.
That's crazy. Do they have to intervene at that point? Like, hey, we can't let you do this.
It's Walgreens. They can do whatever the heck they want.
Dude, that'd be a hell of a cereal if you just had pills with Jack underneath. Like, that's the new Captain Crunch.
I'm just saying.
What if we were to take all of our favorite, like, cereal brands and project what kind of drug problems we would assume, like, the Captain has, or the Trix Yogurt Rabbit?
Okay. I feel like what's the one with the marshmallows in it?
Lucky Charms.
I feel like he's definitely on LSD. For sure.
He would be the trooper.
Yeah, follow the rainbow.
But would it be LSD? You think he's a chemical man, or you think he likes it all natural?
Chemical.
Okay.
He's got some problems, for sure.
You ever watch Kill Tony?
Yes.
I love listening to Casey Rocket talk about Robitussin. I've never done Robitussin, but I watched the first 2 seasons of what's Narcos on NyQuil because I had COVID.
Yep.
So before bed, I'd take 2 shots of NyQuil, and I'd rock it until the bitter end, and it was awesome. Like, what? I guess, is that codeine?
The NyQuil? I have no clue. I don't think I've ever taken NyQuil, to be honest with you.
What?
Yeah.
You're a grown man. You've never
I
tried
know.
NyQuil?
I've never tried NyQuil.
What is your, I need to sleep right now and I'm sick as hell. Do you sleep straight up when you need to?
Dude, so you know how it's been really hot?
Yeah.
Yeah, really hot. Okay. So our door...
Are you pandering right now? Are you
Dude.
trying to be relatable, Kyle?
No. It's our front door has like an inch crack above it and below it, and our back door has the same thing. So our AC's on full blast. Like, we have that bird down to like 60.
Yeah.
It's 78 in the house right now.
Bro.
We
We also have an AC issue in our house. It's around 80, and like that's uncomfortable. But for it to have a crack, like, do you have a big bug problem? That's disgusting.
I have a cat.
Oh.
That's how he pays rent.
Dude.
Yeah. Shout out Bubby Boys. Yep.
My cat will bat around bugs, but he'll never do anything about it. He's not there. He doesn't know how to kill yet.
Do you guys have lizards?
No. I live in northern Kentucky. I don't think. So the lizards were brought over here by some like individual collector who had them in
from like
Oakley.
Florida or something. Brought them from Florida, and then they just all escaped, and now we have a
Lizard infestation.
Yeah.
Dude, I love when you see like the iguana eradicators in like the state of Florida. You play golf. I'm sure you've
Yeah.
seen these monsters on the courses, right?
I've never seen an iguana
Really?
in real life. No.
They are interesting tree beings. Like, it looks like it shouldn't be there because it's so bulbous.
Yeah.
You know, like it looks like a Pokemon.
I take that back. I saw one in the Keys, and he was hanging out on like a palm tree, like right above like where the stage was.
Yeah.
And somebody noticed it, and they kept looking. I was like, "What are you looking at?" I look up. There's this big old iguana right above me. That's right.
Dude, that's excellent. I was playing a wedding ceremony the other day, and it was this beautiful backyard setting where like these people, like their backyard kind of sloped down, and at the end of this hillside they had a beautiful lake and like a drop, and it was spectacular. And in the middle of the ceremony, you see the father of the bride get up and grab this big ass snake and chuck it over the hillside. And I swear to God, 15 minutes later, like everyone's cracking up and like we're just trying to get through a ceremony, you know. 15 minutes later, he does the same thing. I think it was the same snake. I think he came back with a vengeance.
wild.
I can't imagine being country enough to approach a snake casually during a ceremony. Like, I would probably make a scene. Maybe I'd do something about it, but that's not me, dog.
That's a man's man right there.
That
Like,
is
you
a
just
man's
grab
man.
a snake. Yeah, get out of here.
That's Steve Irwin's best pal, you know what I'm saying?
Steve Irwin.
Did you ever watch that stuff growing up? Were you an Animal Planet person?
Mm-hmm.
I spent most of my time watching Full House as a kid.
That's a great show.
Full
Nothing
House.
wrong with that.
I used to think I was getting like good family morals out of it, and now that I look at the lives of the actors outside of that, I think
Yeah.
it was some kind of subliminal plot like Disney.
It might have been.
Yeah.
Could have been.
What was the #1 show of your childhood, Kyle?
Number one. Oh, I mean, there's so many. I love Courage the Cowardly Dog growing up.
That was kind of graphic at times.
It was freaky, but it was such a good show.
It was kind of like the follow-up to like, what is it, Remp and Scheme? What's
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I
don't-
never watched that show. That's like a generation before us, but that shit's truly graphic. Like
Yeah.
that's like a little bit disturbing for kids to be watching. And then Courage kind of played off that every once in a while.
Did you ever watch Cat Dog? Cat Dog was good. Ed, and Eddie.
Cat Dog opened up my mind to what was really possible in the world, and I don't like
Yeah.
what it did in the long run. You know, it's like I'm still looking for the right pet for me, and I don't want to disclose what that would be.
Now you got me interested.
Yeah, let's go to PetSmart. I'll tell you about it. I'll walk you through the aisles. We'll talk about some dark shit. Did you ever have Nintendogs?
Nintendogs?
Yeah. Nintendogs was like you had the DS and you had your play pretend pet, and like you could go years without feeding it, and you'd open it up and there'd just be this sad animal looking at you, like it never died, like because that'd be cruel if
Yeah,
Nintendo
you
was
can't
having
do
your
that.
pet.
It just
But
doesn't starve, but starves.
they would teach you how to feel guilty about not loving your pet enough. And I had a Chihuahua that could catch any frisbee, bro, any frisbee. It was a spectacular time in my youth.
So like when you say catch any frisbee, like was he getting up?
There's
He
like
had some hops on him.
There's like games you could play to win points, and dude, I would just be nailing the back wall, and it looked like he had ups, but it was a 2-dimensional screen, so I can't tell what they were lying to me
You're
about.
talking about a video game.
Yes.
I thought you actually had a Chihuahua that would catch any frisbee you threw.
No, dude, I had a Labrador that would eat one of any pair of shoes, but it would never complete the shoes. It would just eat one of them.
Yeah, that's just rude.
One of the worst days of grade school for me, I was walking to the bus, and my dog decided to go after the shoe I was wearing, and I'm like, maybe a second grader. So, like, I don't know. What would you assume a second grader weighs? 60 pounds, 70 pounds? This dog grabs me by the foot and drags me through the yard trying to get my shoe off me.
Oh, my.
While all my school friends watched from the bus and laughed.
Yeah. That's scarring.
Then I had to get new shoes and I had to get on the bus. It was like, that was some traumatic shit. I learned my lesson that day about pups.
Have you ever had cats at all?
You
have now.
I have one cat now, and I never had a cat before that. M completely converted me.
What do you think?
The
honest opinion.
The distance of the animal is freeing and heartbreaking. You know,
Okay.
It's like I cannot get the affection of my cat, regardless how much I try.
The more you try, the less affection you're gonna get.
So is that what I'm trying to learn here? Is sometimes you learn animal psychology and you learn out it's human psychology, and it all just works the same way. And it turns out he might be the more evolved being.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Cats, yeah.
But that kind of bums me out. Like, I do want his love. I do go I'll chase him through the house probably 3 times a day, just trying to get him to let me hold him. And like I heard this on we're watching a show called Suits, which like
Great show.
great show.
Yeah.
But he was talking about what Lewis picks up a cat and he says, does he like the right or the left? And I didn't even realize this, but I definitely know for a fact my cat prefers the left side. If I pick him up, he wants to be on my left.
On the left.
If he sleeps with us, he sleeps in my wife's left hand.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would that be any part of their active choice?
Just preference, man. Some people like the left, some people like the right.
Yeah. So have you always been a cat guy?
Always been a cat guy. Yeah.
Do you think that's had an effect on your personality?
For sure. I think so. Like I've had dogs, like grandparents had dogs growing up, all golden retrievers, but when it came to like in the house, it was cats. For sure.
You know, when I think back to the first time I met you, Kyle, at Mitch Bucky's house.
You thought I was a cat?
Well, now that I look back on it, it's like you have the mellowness of a cat.
Hmm.
And maybe the evasiveness. I didn't really ask at that point. It's crazy how long we had known each other at that point before we really became friends.
Yeah.
Initially, you were just an intimidating, beautiful voiced man that was like, I don't even want to talk to that guy right
Same
now.
thing. Right back at you.
My apologies. I'm
You're
still
good.
working through my phlegm.
Work it out. Work that phlegm.
It out.
Work that phlegm.
So we had been friends for how many years after that? I was probably 15 when we met there. You might be 17 at that point.
No, we're close to the same age.
Really?
Yeah,
Are
we're
you a
real
year older
close.
than me?
I'm. When were
I
you
just turned
born?
28. June.
Yeah, okay. So I'm like a couple months.
Okay. But you were the grade above me. Because
You-
I was old for my grade, so you were probably young for your grade,
You were
right?
15 or 14.
I think I was probably 15 or 14, somewhere in there.
What grade were you?
I have no fucking idea about that.
What grade did you graduate high school?
It's a perplexing question. Maybe 18?
Okay. There's no way you were 2018. Were you really?
I'm a 2015 grad.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I was 14.
Okay. So maybe, was I younger than that? Now you got me all screwed up. But, so we had met at this bizarre, like, musician's house party.
Yeah.
Like, and also, like, God bless Mitch Bucky for being the kind of nerd that wanted to set up his entire sound system in, like, the dining room of his parents'
Yeah.
home, only to have a festival-style show, only for other musicians. Like, it was such a weird occasion.
I love him so much. He's such a good dude.
I haven't gotten to work with him in so long, but the last time I saw him, he was running sound for Abby Holiday at Xavier Fest.
Okay.
And he is still the same lovable Mitch.
Dude,
I mean,
you need to shoot him a text one of these days. Just
Really?
like, yeah.
do
have
you
some
stay in
lunch
contact with him?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
We're on and off.
Let's both take him to lunch. That'll be fun.
Let's do that. I would love that.
Let's both invite him to the same place for lunch without agreeing to the text.
That's even
okay?
better,
And
yeah.
we'll bombard him.
I like that.
And we'll all try to sit on one side of a booth.
Okay. Have a seat.
We have things to talk to you about.
Mm-hmm.
We both pull out folders. We switch to folders. We switch it again. It's like those games at the carnival where you don't know where the ping pong ball
Yep.
is. And they're all just schematics. We're like, our amps are broken.
Yeah.
We need you, Mitch.
I need a new pedal rig. Help.
How do you feel about your Roland? Are you still using that?
The little
It looks
amp?
like a head, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
Still using it.
Still your main amp?
Yeah, that's all I have. Yeah.
Before that, did you have a tube amp?
Yes.
And what did you use?
The Fender Twin Deluxe.
You were hauling a twin for a long time?
Yeah, it was. I love that thing so much, but I am way too nonchalant to own a tube amp. So I'm like, I didn't do anything. Well, yeah, but you left in the car when it was freaking 50 degrees, and then 70 degrees, so your tubes are probably screwed.
Do you have good insurance on your gear?
I usually get like the 2-year warranties or whatever.
Okay.
You can get
There's a company called Music Pro Insurance that is actually awesome and very affordable.
music here.
Music Pro Insurance.
I can take that note.
Yeah, I can text you that. But it's super easy to line that stuff up. And, like, I didn't have a fear of that until someone was telling me about an awful situation. Like, there was a guy that came on the show maybe 3 months ago. His name's Justin Todd Hunter. And he hunts Todds for a living. And he had his home broken into, and they stole, like, all of his gear. And he tells this beautiful story of, like, the community raising money to help him buy some gear he needed to get back to gigging. But it's like, just because there's stories, anecdotal stories of good things happening to good people, doesn't mean you shouldn't be protected against that.
Yeah,
There's
you
a
gotta
lot of
prepare.
folks that got to cancel other gigs because they lost their main electric or their acoustic. And, like, the sentimental value of losing guitar sounds super painful, but the financial hit is unrecoverable in
The
my mind.
financial is rough, man.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, if you're dropping what, $800 to $1,500 on a nice acoustic guitar that, you know,
Yeah.
that you think that you'll be able to have for years and years and years, and then it's just gone one day. You're
What-
like, well, now I'm out $1,500.
Yeah.
You know,
But I feel like you do a nice job of not being caught in the gear fetish. Like, it's very rare that I see you pull out something new. And if you have brought out something new, it's very clear intention of what you want to use it for.
it's laziness.
That's kind of a good thing in that regard.
It's the cat in me.
Well,
I don't know.
no, that's a hairball. Okay.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I found a hairball my cat coughed up the other day, and it was so stuck to the floor that I had to
Yeah.
get like a paint scraper.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was- it's
Get
cool.
all that.
It's awesome. But like your pedal board especially, you use the same board for acoustic and electric gigs, right?
Yeah.
How much tinkering do you have to do every time you sit down with that?
The great thing is, I just added a fuzz pedal. I had a Wampler. I still have a Wampler green pedal that I used for like gain and drive. But it worked really well with the acoustic. So it's just a couple knobs that you switch whenever you're switching back to electric. But it wasn't giving me that fuzz, that Gary Clark, that just deep and like in your face kind of thing. So I got a Fender fuzz pedal for like $70, something cheap. And so now the only thing that I switch out is that green Wampler, and then when I switch to electric, I'll just switch that out and put the fuzz pedal on.
Oh, so you're actually taking pedals out the chain and putting this guy in?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Fuzz is a really difficult thing to fit in the sonic spectrum unless you're in trio settings, I feel like.
Yeah.
The moment that there's a lot going on is the moment that a fuzz is just kind of like it's interfering with the essence of sound going on
Sure.
because it is so bombastic.
It is.
Was Gary really the inspiration in that, or was there a song that you wanted the fuzz on?
No, like that song "Numb" that Gary does, just his guitar tone and that fuzz is so nasty. I'm like, I want to like at least get a little bit sort of that kind of sound.
Yeah.
Like when I say I use a fuzz pedal, like the fuzz setting will maybe be on 2
Yeah.
at the max, right? Anytime you go above that, then like you were saying, sonically it's just a mess.
Yeah. But then some people like that. Like, there's something really interesting about a Dan Auerbach or a Jack White where it's like, I like cheap pickups through aggressive pedals, blaring on amp in the back of the room. It's like,
Yeah.
that is really not my vibe these days, but I can appreciate guys who do it well.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. You're one of the weirdest loopers I've ever watched, though.
Thank you.
Because no one brutalizes an undo switch in the way that you do, and no one is so smooth with getting back onto it. It's like, I watch you lay down initial groove and not be locked to it. You'll just get off it and ride through with something else. How long did it take you to get comfortable with the one pedal looper?
Dude, I mean, the one that I have, I've gone through 2 of them in maybe 10 years. So, I mean, that's my loop pedal.
Yeah.
And, like, once you already know how it is because you practice, you have your craft very organized and it sounds great. But, like, you know what each of your things that you're doing is supposed to do at a certain time. And,
Yeah.
like, the loop pedal that I have, that RC1 Boss, is so reliable for that. Just like the pedal switch itself is very straightforward, easy to use. It's just like double click and hold if you don't want it anymore, but you can still play over top of it while it's deleting and all that fun stuff.
Interesting. So that's kind of part of the, because people look at it like it's a magic trick, or they look at it like it's backing tracks. So like it's really hard to get people to feel authentically about the loopers in some situations unless you've gotten as smooth as you have with it, or as I aim to be with it. And everyone has a different methodology of how they approach their songs and their songwriting to it. Like, I always start with that 1-bar groove or 2-bar groove, and that's going to set the parameter that everything's going to lay on top of. So you kind of need to find, like, what is the one underlying piece of this that can stay throughout the entire song. But I see you kind of intentionally not do that in certain tunes. Like, when you are taking a new song to the looper, do you play around with what section is going to go down, or do you normally start with a groove and lay over top of that?
Well, yeah, I guess because when I'm learning new songs, I'm probably using the looper too. But whenever I learn a new song, I'll just play through it, and then and it honestly, it changes each gig. I don't play any song the same way, I guess.
Yeah.
Which again is probably the laziness coming into effect, because I'm like, well, I don't really want to just do these 4 chords. Maybe I want to like start with the bass line this time and then see if the rest of the chords fit. And if it doesn't fit, you can just delete it.
Yeah.
And keep going. Nobody knows.
Yeah. And is there a gig that's been particularly helpful in feeling like you have the freedom to do what you want?
Cappies, for sure. And love them. Shouts out Cappies.
And that's been a mainstay for you for how many years now?
It's been a while, man. But this year we've been doing every first and third Thursdays. And the people that go there are awesome. And they just want me to go do whatever. Like, we're just here to see you, which is really nice. Do you have a gig like that where you're like, all these people are they just want to hear what I do best?
I would say there's no gig where it's just my listeners coming out to hear it. It's like most spots have their own audience.
Yeah.
But my Sundays at Fishbowl tend to be like, if you ask me for something, you might get it. But 90% of the time, I am just fucking around having a good time,
right?
Just running my show.
And that's so it's almost a relief, like especially on a Sunday after like the week of shows that you just did. You can be like, okay, I can breathe a little bit.
Yeah,
I can just do what I love doing.
When I particularly need that space from when I do band shows and things like that. Like, I love playing with the band, but it's such a more involved process to move that project than it is just to set up my acoustic stuff and have a good time with it. It's like, there's no one else to consider in decisions that might be fun and reckless.
Right.
How much in-person writing are you doing at this point? How much for your songwriters? Okay.
0. Yeah. I think it's just, dude, I've been so busy starting off this summer. I get home or, Monday or Tuesday are my off days. I'm like, I don't want to write.
Yeah.
I just don't want to write.
But are you writing at gigs at all? Because I've known you to sometimes, like, we've improvised some songs and had a good time doing that. Is that a consistent practice in your life?
I've been kind of stuck in a rut of just playing the songs I already know. Because for me, I have a catalog of songs that I know are going to work at certain moments in a gig.
Yeah.
Like, let's say if it's more of a... And you do a really good job of reading the crowd too, where it's just like, okay, I think I have somewhat more of like a country-based like audience tonight, so I'm going to play more country songs, or more bluesy, I'm going to play more bluesy songs. But my catalog of songs that I have now are like, okay, I feel comfortable about playing any of these songs at any point, so I haven't really written anything while I'm playing. Yeah,
it's like once you feel like you have enough to... you and I could go out and play a 3-hour show, pretty much just originals, and we'd get by, There's the scraps and there's the gold, but in doing that, you get to redevelop these things and give them time. Sorry. I'm so amazed at how much writing happens subconsciously in taking tunes to a bandstand. It's like, I know a lot of folks that are timid about, I wrote this last week, I'm not going to start playing on it. But if I got a verse and a chorus... Sometimes I'll just go on my Sunday gigs or a more laid-back gig, and I'll get through that, and it's like, well, let's make up another verse and get back to the chorus. We'll get back to safe territory. We'll run that first verse again. We'll change some things. We'll decide that, okay, I got a new idea that's going to move down here. The main thing I need to do in that case, though, is record the shows so I have something to go back on. Or else I'm up there typing on my phone. Like, that's fucking ridiculous.
Or it's like you just spit this fire verse. You're like, wow, this worked really well. I'm like, oh, I didn't record it.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's like, I'll remember it later. No, you won't.
Do you feel frustrated in those moments, or is that part of the freedom you reward yourself?
No. No, I mean, I'll be bummed. Like, darn, I think this really sounded good.
Yeah.
But no, I don't get caught up on it too much.
Yeah. I find that right now in writing, especially in the new totally sober phase of my life, my criticalness of my own work is so destructive. I have such a hard time just enjoying the process of output. And the other day it was Father's Day, and I was just writing my dad a note, and I had a good time just writing what I was feeling and not worrying about going back and scratching anything out. And for a while I was journaling again. It's like just having a place where you just puke on the page consistently. You just hairball and let that thing get sticky. Being in that kind of practice helps you pick through and find gold and be comfortable with that was meant to be shit. That was fine to be trash.
Right.
But this right here is special. So let's keep cracking at it.
Yeah, I love that. When I was writing a lot, that's what I was doing. Or like even if it wasn't about something, it'd just be like an object in the room, like a blue couch. And you just write and write and write what you see around it, what you see on it, that kind of stuff.
Do you think that couch is blue?
It is blue.
That couch is black.
That is blue.
Are you serious?
That is blue, my friend.
Friends of the internet, you won't be part of this discussion, but I will forever. No, what? Did you just say it's velvet? I'm not the kind of pervert that would have a velvet couch and let you see it.
It's like a gray blue?
No, dude, that's definitely just black.
I don't know.
Now, I have found out my wife is getting more into photography. We've been painting our house.
She does great work, by the way.
She's been awesome. And, you know, we've all been around people and partners and friends when they find their thing. And it's really odd to watch the way a personality just explodes through this. Yeah. Especially in a medium that is speechless. She told me that it's like, it's what I always do. It's people watching to the furthest extent, except I have something to show you. Ooh. Like I did the thing that I was meant to do there. Whereas most of the time she's an introvert. We're very much a balance of I'm the one that can't stop talking and never thinks about it. She's the one that can't stop thinking and never talks about it.
Sure.
But in this, she gets to show that side of herself. And it's just been brilliant to see someone really so inspired and having such a good time with it.
She's great at what she does, too.
Yeah.
Like all these, I'm assuming all the recent pictures that have been taken of you is from her.
Yeah, 90% of
They're
it.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm like, these are so good.
Well, and when we were initially talking about her getting into it, like anytime she'd bring up the idea of like a new hobby or a new passion, I'm like, let's do it, let's jump. And she's like, hold on, let's think about this before we do it. It's like, no, if that's the camera you want, here's the money, let's go.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me invest in your business the same way that my parents have and mine, sure. and the way that people I love continue to step up to bat and say, if you think you're going there, let's go there.
Yeah.
And it's paid back tenfold.
I love that.
But it's really so interesting to watch when someone finds part of themselves in the medium and just dives into it.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. And it's such a relief for me, too. Photography... I've also kind of fallen in love with, you know, I did the live album. I've done 2 live albums now with Radio Artifact, and that's an awesome process. But when you look at video of yourself, there's that same aura of self-criticism.
Yeah.
And just this critical standpoint that you can't get away from it. Because you're looking at something that's almost real life, but it's not. So anything about, like, the in-the-moment interaction that makes it forgivable... The moment that we're watching it on a 2D screen, it is not forgivable.
Yeah.
He's too drunk. I forgot the words. That solo sucked. Whatever it be.
Yeah.
Photography, I never believed that a picture's worth 1,000 words until I realized the set could be awful and the picture could be tits.
Right.
You know, it could be the coolest thing that you could ever see there. And having that as part of the interaction with you and your fans, like, I think there's more FOMO in great pictures than there is in great video.
Define FOMO.
Fear of missing out. You know, like the feeling of I wish I was there. I don't want to miss that again. Like the pictures have a different level of epicness.
Yeah.
I guess maybe that's not fair to say because the right video, the perfect video, sure. It's like, oh, that drags me in by the throat. Like that's, but those are harder moments to capture.
I get what you're saying though, and especially when it comes to like the self-criticism whenever you're on stage and off stage. You could think you had a banging set, right? And then you watch it back, you're like, okay, this is actually kind of trash. Yeah. But like in the moment, like, and that's what I think. What you said, like, just the fan interaction, the band interaction, the songs that you're playing are more meaningful on stage than whenever you're watching it back again and being self-critical.
Yeah.
How do we get to a point where we don't self-criticize?
Don't be the one to edit the video.
Moment.
Don't watch it.
Don't even watch it.
Because another thing, like, and I want to touch on the album and ask some things about the feels, but I feel like this is a good segue into it because I remember the first time I listened to the album, I had the awesome opportunity to listen to it in Radio Artifact with you and the band over a couple of drinks, and it's just bumping over the speakers. And I am such a big fan of that album. I mean, I do not want to blow smoke for no reason to you guys, but that was the #1 album of that year for me. It's not because I like you. It's because it hits so hard. It's like all my Spotify stats tell me the clear, undivided truth that this thing was leagues above anything else that I found. And I spin it on my breaks all the time because it's become a comfort food for me.
You sweetheart. Making me blush.
But when I walked into that session and you guys are working on this, you hear people saying, it's not done. It's not done. It's not there. Don't look too close. And we all get 95%. And that last 5% might as well have been the initial 95 because the tweaking and the little things, it's like how you start to draw the line of that's good enough, this is not, that is perfect, please don't touch it again. Like letting go at the end of that process is messy. How did you feel at the end of the project?
Relief.
Okay, yeah.
Relief, and also let's just get it out. Like we could spend another, year on this, 2 years, and like I know you're the same way to where there's some points where you just have to step back and be like, okay, this is done.
Well, it's so interesting to apply the things you've learned to the things you've done and go back and redo them. And yet again, we have the things we've learned and the things we've done, and you find yourself captive to thinking that you can push it 1%, 0.5%. I don't care if it's a fraction of a percent. If it can be better, it can be better. It's like, no, your next project will be leagues above this.
Right.
If you're willing to let go at the right time.
Yeah. And I love that you said that because, we've been playing music for a long time and recording for a decent amount of time too. And just looking back at, I was listening to a project that I did when I was like 18 or 19. I was like, when I thought it was like, oh, this is pretty good. I was like, this is awful. Like, look at the leaps and bounds that we have come from where we started.
Yeah.
It's insane.
One thing that I loved, I think it was the last time you came on the podcast, I just sat in the booth while you recorded Snakes as a demo.
Yeah.
And you played everything on it. And it was excellent.
That was a lot of fun.
And I get it's not a finished project that needs to go out to the world, but for two guys that just love the game of playing catch with the song, boy, was it fulfilling.
That's a lot of fun.
And it's weird the way that we make assumptions about what you need about the quality of the room, the quality of the mics, the time spent to do it. It's like sometimes you just open up the floodgates and it just comes.
Yeah.
I was talking to a buddy the other day, and he was kind of in that similar process of the things I've learned, the things I've done. Do I go back and redo it or do I move on? And I said, brother, it seems like the creative faucet is on. And if you even think for a second about turning that off to refine what's in the sink, you're a fool.
True.
It's like just let it pour until the well goes dry, and then we'll talk.
Yeah.
Because as long as things are coming, there's going to be this osmosis Jones kind of effect of things are affecting other things in ways you cannot understand. And to keep pace, it's like nothing sucks more in the marathon than stopping and starting again.
Right.
So just proceed, even though your feet hurt, It's
I love your metaphors so much.
Sometimes it's a lot more clear than the rest of my speaking. One thing I've realized through sobriety...
You speak in metaphors.
I realized through my sobriety that my language can be so flowery, I don't know what I'm talking about at certain points in time.
Okay.
So trying to be more concise has been a really conscious effort because I can be a fucking mess outside of that.
Same.
But boy, do you say things sometimes and like you just get in that flow state. And that's the great thing about a podcast is you say something and now you're looking at it. And now I have it on here and we can refer back. I've told everybody this and I'll keep being annoying about it. But my buddy Toby said, if you want things to go well, there's 3 parts. You need to have your bags packed, you need to be on the platform, and you need your ticket in hand. That's the only way you get on the train. And I was like, that is everything I needed to hear right now.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Toby.
Dude, thank you, Toby.
Thank you, Toby.
Dude is absolutely brilliant. And right now I'm trying to get my bags packed.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on the platform, but I don't know what I'm carrying around. And I think I got my ticket. But what a great way to remind yourself that, like, part of having the song is having the ticket. And you hand it to somebody, and they might say, get on. Or they might say, not that one. So you need to be ready to step up again and to step up again. Like, the brutal demand of consistency in the world of social media that we now live in it's up to you to define what you want to be consistent with. What do I share with the world?
Right.
And you and I have decided it's the songs, it's the moment, it's the way you can sit back and feel like somebody can say the things for you that you didn't know how to say.
Mm.
And if we focus on the nonsense of, I need this picture for that, I need this clip for that, I need to animate myself to entertain these people. It's like, no. I've decided what I am here to give you, and that is it.
Yeah. And you can either like it or you don't.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Do you feel weighed down by having to keep up with that stuff, or are you kind of made peace with what you do?
No, I don't. I try not to get weighed down. I try not to, because at the end of the day, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'm making a living doing it, and I've met a lot of cool people on the way while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And if that's the only thing I take home when I die in my grave, I'm going to be happy. So I try to keep that mindset. But do I want bigger and better things? Absolutely. Who doesn't? But so my thing is, how do I get there, and what does that look like? I think it's been my biggest struggle.
Yeah.
Over the years of, like, what next, and what is going to help me best right now.
Yeah. And you got to have those people around you that help you walk that line between who I think I am, who they think I am, and what I really am.
Yeah.
So you can propel that thing forward. Like,
Yeah.
I'm grateful to have a parent who's really deep in the strategy of business. So I can't have a casual conversation with my dad.
Right.
We get nitty gritty every time. It's like, what a blessing is that? And we all have a tendency to write off our parents. But the people that you are predisposed to have in there speak truths into your life that you may not be ready for.
Sure.
You know, sometimes my wife says things in passing where it hits me like a ton of bricks. Or some of the listeners that are more consistent in our lives say things about songs that make the light bulb go off.
Yeah.
What's like the most taken back you've ever been by an interaction with someone about one of your songs?
Every time I talk to you little sweetheart, man, you pump me up.
You're full of it.
I'm not at all. No, that's very kind of you to say about the album. That took me back for sure. I'm trying to think.
And it's hard to pick those moments, but there are days where you put your head on the pedal and you're like, I did it.
Yeah.
I actually did the thing that I set out to do.
I had somebody talk to me about Sober recently, where they're like, dude, I've been listening to this back and forth because I've been struggling with the same thing of, like, the sobriety of, like, being there and then being, I call it the train. Let's use another train metaphor. Being on that sober train for a little bit, and then you fall off, and now you're back to where you were, and then getting back on, getting back off. And he's like, that song has helped me a lot. I was like, done.
Yeah.
That's all I needed.
Tyler Carson has expressed to me how much he loved that song. He asked one time
Love
at the
that guy.
Muse if he could play that, and I was like, no, it's not your song.
I have given him rights to play whenever he wants.
I respect that, but not on my damn show.
Not on my show.
Because I demand that Kyle Hackett come back and play that song for me. So while we're on the topic, would you play that song for me?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for that right now.
Really? No need. No.
Let's hold off on that for a little bit.
Okay. I'll come back and ask again.
I'm still
3
waking,
to 4 minutes.
Still waking up here.
I get you. If you were a coffee guy, you'd be awake by now. Are you zinning?
I'm zinning.
Okay.
I've been zinning this whole time. Doesn't even know.
Dude,
Sponsor me.
do you ever
Zen
double
Spearmint
zen?
6s, huh?
Do you ever double zen?
Oh yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Is that
I'm a
part of
nasty
your
boy.
Is that part of your golf game?
Oh yeah.
How long have you played golf?
Oh, probably since I was 12.
Why?
Somewhere around there. Okay, let me try to explain this in a very easy, edible way. Golf is the one sport that you are constantly having a battle with yourself, and it's all mental. You could have a great shot, and then you could hit one into the water. You could lose balls, all that. But it's a constant competition with you, yourself, and I. And I love that about the game. Not just you're in a golf cart when it's really sunny out and you're drinking beers and you got 3 other like-minded guys hanging out, having a good time, listening to music and just hitting balls. Who doesn't like that? But it's the competitiveness with yourself that I love. I love that.
I have an issue with sports that involve an appendage like that. Like I can't
What,
imagine.
arms?
But no, not limbs.
Okay.
Like a club of any sort, whether it be a tennis racket or a baseball bat or a golf club. Like, I just can't get it through my knucklehead skull, like how you hit that ball. But I like what you said of, like, there's a contest to be had with your own ability to get over shit. That everyone needs to have a practice in their life. Like, there's nothing worse than bombing on a random cover someone asks you for.
Yeah.
Or folding on one of your own songs. And now you have milliseconds to clear your mind and step up to bat. And, like, we've all gotten sheepish on stage. Do you find that the game really helps you clear the mind in your gigging life? Or is that a different battle?
I don't know. I mean, it probably helps just like being outside and hanging out with like the guys to where it's like, okay, now like that's okay. So I try to golf every Sunday. So I'll be gigging Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then I know I have golf Sunday that I can decompress from the week, and then I have off days Monday, Tuesday, where I can send my emails, do all the back end stuff that I need to do, and then we just start it over again. So Sundays are definitely like, okay, I can breathe a little bit and hang out with the guys and hit balls into water.
It's funny that you call the email days like your off days. Like, those are the days where I actually feel like I have a job. You know, like,
That's
loading
fair.
in and loading out is definitely a job. But I feel like if there's one thing people don't understand about what it's like to be an independent musician, it's that your off days consist of doing the logistical things to make it feasible to have this gig.
Yeah.
And there really are no off days, because the day that I'm not playing and I don't have emails to send, those are the days I think about writing.
Yeah.
Those are the days where I go tinkering with my pedals. Like, yes, it's something I love to do, but I haven't had a day off in God knows when. It's like, I took a guitar on my honeymoon because I'm sick and I would make my wife miserable if I didn't have something to do.
That's fair. I think I have video games to fill that void. I
Yeah.
play a lot of video games.
And are those games where you're trying to separate your real reality from the game reality and you're trying to be in a different life? Or is it like unfounded aggression?
Well, if I'm playing COD, it's definitely unfounded aggression. But I definitely think it is a little bit of an escape where I can just be for 3 or 4 hours and not think about anything. But also, I have all my friends that are playing too, so I get to like hang out with them a little bit.
Yeah.
You know.
I am very ashamed to admit, like, I'm bad at watching movies, I'm bad at watching series, and I've never completed a video game.
You got to watch Deadliest Catch.
Really?
You'll be right in there. I'm telling you, I just started it a couple days ago. I've been binging the crap out of that show.
Oh my god, dude, that is
Great.
that is just not the place I expected you to take that.
So
It's definitely not the series that anyone has ever recommended to me.
Yeah.
I mean, is it just the drama?
It's so slept on. There are a bunch of working hard, fishing for crabs, but there's drama on the boat the whole time. And on top of that, you're battling the Bering Sea. Like,
That's deep. And to think this is all just so we can have, like, strips of crab meat for sushi. And
yeah, we're very selfish.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Well, going back to, like, sometimes I feel like people don't respect our job. Sometimes I feel like I shouldn't respect my job. Like, I play ditties for people in happy bars, you know? Like, someone out there is dying so that they can get us crab meat at a profound extent, you know?
Well, but also, if you think about it, like, going way, way back, we come from a long line of entertainers. Like, you know, musicians were the first ones to entertain people, like in taverns or whatever. You'd have your sea shanties, like it was all singing and like it was entertainment. We come from a long line of that.
Yeah. Do you find a nuisance to compete with TVs for people's entertainment?
If the Bengals are on, I won't play.
Really?
Well, also because I'm a big Bengals fan. But
Okay.
yeah, like, especially like at MLTs or something, if there's like a finals on or like a game 3, like a big game, I'm not going to play. I'm just going to hang out and watch with them and hang out, and it doesn't bother me. It really doesn't.
Does it bother the clubs that you're being paid to play?
I talk to them.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll be like, hey, listen, this is a big game. I don't think anybody wants me to play right now. They're like, oh yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, hold off for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, cool.
I think that's fair to make that like it's an ego check, you know, like
Yeah.
I don't care enough about sports to like I would play during the Super Bowl, you know, and I have.
You're wild.
And I don't care. Cuz I find myself watching the TV while I'm playing, like zoning out, and like that's a really weird they say you can't multitask, and I would say that's not true to the extent that you can have an active task and you can have a passive task. And depending on how you've trained your muscle memory, like you can let that passive task roll while you actively participate in something else, whether that's people watching, thinking about the next song, thinking about the loop while playing the part of the loop that you got to do.
Yeah.
Like,
and you're dealing with foot pedals stuff too. I don't know how you do that.
oh, you're doing the same thing. It's just like
no, but I said it. Like you got like your actual foot pedal.
Oh, the kick pedal and
Yeah.
whatnot. Well, yeah, but I'm still looping that to some extent.
Are you?
Dude, I got this awful issue. I've pulled my pedal board apart 3 times because I got this ground hum that's going on because one connection is just going in and out. So I'm about to take that bitch to the opposite world, okay?
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything's getting sprayed down. But that sucks.
Let me hear your thoughts on something. So I love the foot pedal that you added. I think that takes everything to a new level of looping. I would love to do that, but I don't. I want to keep it like where I'm tapping, but I'm ruining speakers for some reason because I'm hitting the pickup and I'm trying to be light, but I think the pop is kind of ruining the cones.
Yeah.
Every time I've gotten a new speaker, it'll last maybe a year before I start hearing like changes. I wonder if there's a way around that somehow. I'd like to pick your brain on that.
Yeah, what I would initially argue that the method of looping and getting that sound is probably not what's blowing the speakers, it's the general level of the speakers. Like you're peaking it, and because of that you're blowing holes in the cone. But there could be something correct in saying that when you're hitting the pickup of the guitar, you're engaging every part of that frequency range. Whereas like the reason that I got the 808 kick rather than having like, you know, a real kick drum or something like that is I wanted to compete with DJs. The lowest they're going to go is those deep bass notes in the 808. So if you're going to give me a stage with subs, I'm going to thump as hard as that guy, and I still have the entertainment factor over him.
Makes sense.
Because you can't pick up what he's necessarily doing. But the 808 is limited to whatever that frequency range is, versus your guitar is this full spectrum thing. You're going from 20K to 20 hertz when you're trying to engage like that.
Yeah.
So maybe you're getting this weird wall of push that's just hitting it too hard.
That makes sense.
But what I would recommend initially, if you want to protect your speakers, is compressing it in a way and making sure that you're never turning it past, like, if I go past 75% of my gain, we're in bad territory.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Yeah, but
I'll throw a pad on it, and then I won't go past like 50 gain at the max.
Yeah, the pad thing is interesting though, because like, so there's gain structure levels, and folks that like aren't around the music gear a lot get confused about how this sets. But like, picture like exposure on a camera, how much light you're letting through. Like that initial trem is how much signal you're going to emit through here. So seeing healthy signal means you're going to touch yellow. Maybe you get close to red, but you never go in the red because now you've added that distortion. Then after that, you can affect that signal by saying, I'm going to compress it. I'm going to constrain this. If you put a pad on it, you're taking where the trim is at, and you're reducing that by 10 dB, 20 dB. So really, you can just set your trim lower and get the same effect of the pad without adding the color of what that pad would be. Because one thing that someone told me is like, when you scoop something out on an EQ, you're not taking that frequency out. You're emitting the frequency in the inverse phase into that. It's like, so if you took your E, if you strum your low E note, that's going to be a wave and a crest of oscillation, and that frequency looks like this wide band. If you were to play that at the perfect speed so that the crest of the one meets the base of the one meets the crest of the other, they would collapse and there would be no sound there. So that's why phasing issues are difficult when recording drums, because you have two mics on different sides of the kit that might meet at the perfect spot to totally negate that sound. You lose a bunch of it. Why did I get on that point? Fuck.
I was talking about
we're talking about the
yeah.
EQ of it. So when you initiate that pad, you're using an aspect of your mixer that is inherently going to have color. So you're going to take away a little bit from what the initial sound of the guitar is. So I would set that trem lower, and then make sure your master fader is -5 dB, a little bit below unity.
Yeah.
And then base things from there.
So what you're saying is I need a new mixer.
Maybe the mixer is definitely the
Got
place
like that 4-channel Yamaha.
Yeah, something like that, or like I got a little Bose you could borrow and try that out. But I'd say just compressing, that's the best way to go. Or get a speaker like the Towers that have 2 places for this to go. It has a sub that's meant to handle those frequencies. Like I think the other problem is you're always going through tops, not tops and bottoms. So if you get one of the Tower units, now you have a top and a bottom to isolate things through.
So yeah, I know, I agree. And that's what I recently got a 18-inch JBL sub.
Nice.
So the great thing about the loop pedal is that it has 2 same outs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll run a line just to the sub and then run a line just to the highs from both guitar.
What I would do instead is run those channels into the mixer, and you probably have an aux out, like an aux 1 or an aux 2.
Yeah.
So you can either run the mains to the top, and you can what they call high pass on the top. So you're saying this speaker's not going to handle anything below 120 hertz. And so you're tuning that out of that speaker, and then you're going direct from that speaker to the sub. And the sub knows I'm going to catch everything, but I only emit, things that are around 120 hertz.
Right.
Or you can send the speaker the aux send, the sub the aux send, and you can push how much low end you want to be in there specifically.
That's what I do. Yeah. So that way I can just cut pretty much all the lows under 180 going to the highs.
Yes.
Yeah. That's usually what I do.
Yeah.
And it's helped. It's
For
helped.
sure. And just having that speaker there so that other one is not doing all the push. Like, the reason you can't send a bass through a guitar amp is because you're going to crack that thing with the frequencies that you're sending to it.
Yeah.
So just knowing where things are preferable to come out of. But also, like, it needs to be modular. Sometimes I go into MLTs, and I bring up my normal setup, and it turns out my low end feels like it's thumping way too hard on that stage.
Yeah.
And I go out in the audience, and it's not.
Yeah.
But from my experience, it's just too hardy up there.
It is.
And, like, that just brings all kind of feedback issues.
It
and
rustles
nonsense.
around, yeah, and it's loud in there too,
Yeah.
And you'll get some feedback.
But I do like the idea of separating the low end of the loop, because when I was doing all my looping on the guitar, I loosened my pickup harness because I was hitting it too much.
Yeah.
It's like the PAs started scooting, the internal stuff started to move too much, and like I fucked up one of my favorite guitars. That guitar sitting over there, it's like I did some serious damage on that. So I moved it to a place that was more hi-fi, had better low end, and took none of the damage.
Mm-hmm.
And that solved a lot of my issues.
With this guitar?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so pretty. It's so good though. Still.
It does. And I had some work done on it. I had the new frets put on it, and the pickups kind of checked out and whatnot, and we were good to go. But because I don't do my loops on board anymore, now I started to bring that guy back out because I'm not worried about hurting it, because I'm not doing that nonsensical shit to it.
Sure. That
Now
makes
you
sense.
have a much better touch on it than I did.
Sometimes.
I'm sure sometimes
not if I have like 3 beers or 4 beers, I'm like
Dude, getting it.
ripping. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do feel like that's part of the appeal. Like, visually, you need to explain to people what's going on. Like, I bring that kick drum out, because if I don't, people look at the drum pad, they're like, oh, he uses a computer. And it's like, no, it's not a computer. I have a drumstick in hand, but you're not putting this together. So I put a kick drum in front of you, and now you assume, oh, he's playing drums.
Right.
And it's like, when you do it on the guitar, it's very self-explanatory to folks.
Yeah.
But it's weird, the disconnect that can be there.
Sure.
Do you find that the loop has been like the most beneficial thing for your guitar playing of any of your practices?
No, I would not say so. Just because there'll be songs like Budapest where I don't really loop that much, and it's all bar chords, and I loop a lot. So it's like when I'm playing a full 4-minute song of bar chords, I'm like, oh my God, you get hand cramps, all this stuff. So maybe in terms of soloing, But in terms of like hand strength and stretching, probably not.
But I feel like that's also a byproduct of gigging as much as you do, and like
Maybe.
a lot of guys use what gauge strings you use.
Right now I have mediums on.
Okay, so like 12 to 52 or 11 to 52, something like that.
I got
11 to
this
56
bundle. It was
maybe.
pretty cheap. I
Okay.
forget what I got.
Dude, cheap strings can only get me so far. Do you break strings often?
No.
Really?
No. Pretty much never.
I'm doing something wrong.
No, you're not. You're just putting that emotion in, and that's fine.
One time you made a comment to me about a vein popping in my neck while I was trying to sing something. You're like, I like that. I was like, it looks like I'm hurting myself. Like,
Good.
it looks like kinks are kinks, man.
Kinks are kinks.
Can't run from nothing like that.
Yeah.
Do you find that you change your guitar playing a lot when you play with the trio?
Yes. I've been trying to work on getting better at playing longer notes and chords when I'm playing electric. Because it feels like I'm strumming way too much, and I'm not relying on what the bass and drum brings.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So I'm trying to get better at that. Being more open.
Is that something you felt like you wanted to work on from the last album when you could really listen back to it, or was it live shows that triggered
Live
that?
shows.
Okay.
I think live shows. But also, man, I've been so interested in what horn section and some keys look like, or just like keys, adding some sort of aspect, because there's a lot of room to be filled. Trio's tough. It's like you have a lot of room to fill, and everybody has to be filling it in the same way. But like if you add just a bed of something, whether it's a rhythm guitar, keys, horns, it helps a lot to free the other guys up.
I love the texture of keys too, because they have infinite sustain if they want to, and it can be, they have 10 note options, whereas we have 6.
Right.
And I found the bigger the band gets, the less notes I should be playing.
Yeah.
And like you said, like more sustain, leading more into things, being more intentional about note choices.
Yeah.
But it's tough when you come from the world of solo acoustic performance, where it's like to be everything and to be just a minimal part takes some real soul searching to find out how you do it.
Sure. Absolutely, it does. Yeah. No, I agree 100%.
Yeah. Do you listen back to the album and say like, how am I gonna pull this off? Because there are multiple layers of certain things, or does it all feel pretty congruent to what you do live already?
The answer to that question is we need to play more of those songs out, because we probably only play Train and like Who Cares
That's
out
it?
live. Yeah.
You scumbag.
I know. Yeah, that's usually all we play out live.
But do you play a lot of other originals that aren't on there?
Not really. No.
How many originals do you think you play in a normal gig? 3 hours, 4 hours?
For band or solo?
Both.
I'll probably play both, probably maybe 5 or 6 max originals.
Kyle, you're doing a disservice to the people of our beautiful country.
I usually do 5 or 6. But we play like all these other cover songs very uniquely, which is a bad excuse.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, I don't think it's a bad excuse. It's part of your person. Like, if you're going to step up to bat, you do it your own way. And maybe this is me just having a certain mindset about it and being way too hard-nosed about it, because what you do already has great effects. People are big fans of what you do. They love your music, and they're happy with your show, so they keep coming back. But I moved to 50-50. Has to be the blend at all points in time. And if I can lean more original, I will, because I don't want to be known for replicating other people's stuff. You can find that anywhere.
Sure.
But, then you start to lose people, too. Like, there's a discomfort with hearing new things for the first time in a lot of listeners. Unless it's delivered in a certain mechanism. Like,
Sure.
last night I went to Kemba Live. It used to be Express Live up in Columbus to see a guy named Gregory Alan Isakov. And this is an artist that my wife loves, and I'm hearing...
He's fantastic.
He is.
Yeah.
Hearing his songs, some of them for the first time, and hearing the opener for the first time. And, like, I had some personal discrepancies with it. Like, sometimes when someone's whole character is just, like, the sadness of their music and trying to commiserate on things, like, I'm much more get up and shake that ass kind of person.
Yeah.
So they can lose me there. But like the experience of a first listen is so vulnerable, and to get invested in things on a first listen is a learned trait. It's not something that you inherently got.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. What was his song? Hit one of his big hits.
Is it Dark, Dark, Dark?
No.
Let me look.
I'll
pull it up.
San Luis, maybe. That sound
I
familiar?
don't know enough of his stuff to. Big Black Car, Amsterdam. Yeah, San Luis.
San Luis. Yeah, I love that song.
I haven't got it downloaded. God damn.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and it's interesting the way that, like, you go to most shows, and you're there for 3 songs, 4 songs that you know really well. And, like, I wouldn't deny that. It feels better when you know the music, and you can participate in it. Like, I think what we're all looking for is to be involved in the music rather than just engaged in the music.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
What's your favorite show you've been to?
Paul McCartney.
Paul
hands down.
McCartney.
It fucked
Okay.
my life up. For
Where
good.
at?
Great American.
Nice.
It was just ridiculous to see this guy just running hits after hits after hits. And like, if we could all have a perfect life, that's how it would look at the end.
Yeah.
You have 3 hours of show where you can't even cover all the songs people want you to play. Versus we're kind of talking about the opposite issue, where you only have a couple of songs that people want you to play, and everything else is trying to get people to want you to play them.
Yeah.
You and I are both at the level that it's not like people come out and demand 1 song or 2 songs, but we are at the level where people come out and they expect that one, they expect those 2, and that starts to be restricting in some ways.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's any song of yours that follows you around and you're ready to move on from?
All of them.
Really?
Yeah.
You feel tired of them all?
Yeah, I think so. I'm ready for new stuff. It just hasn't come yet.
Yeah.
We are working on with Andrew, like an 8-song, just kind of easy listening coffee shop playlist. So we recorded 8 songs on those.
8 originals or
covers.
Okay.
Yeah. Which hopefully we'll be releasing here pretty soon. But then after that's all done, it's time to write.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of hoops did you have to jump through to get clearance to record those?
I don't think you do. From all the research that I've seen, as long as you don't have any visuals, you can release.
That's interesting.
And I could be wrong on that. Fact check me.
Yeah, I think there's sites that you can go through where you can pay to do a certain number of copies, where like in the digital world, like there's only 1 copy to pay for necessarily. But if you start selling copies of it, that's when it becomes problematic.
Yeah.
Do you still sell CDs at all? Do you ever make CDs for the fields?
We still have a couple CDs left.
Did you make those like nice jewel cases with the pull out and everything, or kind of more DIY?
No, we worked with Mitch LeGros, who's fantastic. He's at Coal Mine now. I think it's a 8-fold, maybe 6-fold, something like that. So you have like 3 of his artwork pictures of us, and then a little pull out for the lyrics. Yeah, it's a really cool CD actually.
Is he the fellow that did the design work?
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
He's so talented, dude. He's insane.
And he has his style.
Yeah.
Like we're all looking for people that have their thumbprint. And the way they put that down is just distinct. It's like no one else makes things like that guy.
Yeah. I love the way you team build. That's something that I'm trying to do better at. Like try to build a team, because I'm super bad at like the artwork phase or like social media stuff.
Yeah.
But I really respect the way you build a team around. It's like, okay, maybe I need some help here. Maybe I need some help here. Let's work together on this.
I guess I don't exactly know what you mean by that, but maybe that's because I feel like I'm working on that right now. Like I'm trying to get a publicist right now. I'm trying to get a different attorney right now.
No, but you do like a great. Let me say, maybe I call it a team, but like you outsource very well. So like your video work, or you kind of run your own sound though, don't you?
Yeah, most of the time.
Most of the time.
But like I definitely feel like I'm getting a better idea of who are the resources in my life for certain things. Like Devin and Andrew are an incredible team of whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And like it's hard to take your hands off and ask someone else to do it, know? Especially when it comes down to expense.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to say like my payment is negligible on this. But it's worth it to have that person there.
Right. Yeah.
Do you find as it's become your profession, it's harder to play shows but you don't make any money, or do you make money to play those shows?
Say it again.
Is it harder when music is your profession to play shows where you don't make any money? Or do you go make money so you can play those shows?
That's a good one. I would rather take less pay or not get paid at all to play a really cool spot that might lead to opportunities. But yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a fair answer. It's like, I'd rather find the right listeners at a cost to myself than to be wallpaper at a high price.
Yeah.
And it's difficult lines to walk now because we're living in a space where the monetizable aspects of the industry change very quickly, and you need to know what you sell and why you sell it. Like T-shirts are weird because to ask for $25 for a T-shirt sometimes feels like you're overpricing the product, but you're not selling it to sell a T-shirt that competes with TJ Maxx selling another Coca-Cola shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going after name brands because fuck them.
Fuck Walgreens.
But when you put those up for sale, you're letting people invest in the continuation of the thing you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the most painful thing as a listener is when your favorite brand breaks up because of creative differences, or there's not enough money in it, or they couldn't afford to do this. So every time you step up to bat, whether it's the T-shirt, the album, the sticker, lighters, whatever they sell, it's not meant to be a cheap value. It's meant to be the propagation of more good things.
Mm.
Have you had a hard time with selling things in that regard and feeling like you're asking for too much for it?
Honestly, dude, I really haven't put much investment into merch. We did a line of shirts whenever the album came out, but that's it. Yeah.
And do people ask you about it frequently enough that you wonder that thing, or do you kind of just let it be?
Kind of let it be. I do want to come out with another shirt line here at some point, but I'm waiting for something to release it with.
Yeah. And do you find that the feels is your end-all be-all of the output of things, or is there going to be a Kyle Hackett line of tunes at any point in the near future?
That is the next thing I'm working on.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of love the band, but kind of steering away from that right now. We're still doing shows and stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of just see what it looks like writing on my own, and then possibly bring it to the band, possibly not. You know,
it's nice to have those different piles that things can land in. Like, I got a handful of tunes that, because of the way that the Looper shows work, they feel more hi-fi, and they don't ask for real drums, and they don't ask. I want it to be just this solo venture. I recently read Bruce Springsteen's book, where he's talking about like how he draws a line between Bruce Springsteen and Bruce Springsteen in the E Street Band, and I took a lot away from that. But you have a different situation where it's like, I have a band and then I have a solo career, and like that's got to be tough to balance at times.
Yeah, it is. Just when it comes to everybody's schedule and like trying to figure out that kind of aspect.
Yeah. Do you find that folks are particular fans of one or the other, or is it normally both?
Weirdly, yes. Yeah. Some people that come to the solo shows or the band shows will say, hey, this is great, but I like you solo better. Or it's come to the band or the solo shows like, hey, I like you solo, but we love the band. Like, where you guys playing next? It's just people's opinions and what they want. You know?
Yeah. But I feel like that's almost a clear line between music people and lyrics people. Like, how would you describe yourself?
I like that. I'm a music person.
Yeah.
For sure.
Lyrics are passable to me. Like, I love good lyrics.
Yeah.
Me and my wife were listening to Dawes the other day.
Dawes.
You never heard of
I
Dawes?
don't think so.
Oh, dude, you should listen to this. It's like an early 2000s album. I think it's called Northern Hill. I could be wrong about that.
You have to send me a link.
Let me double check that before I go spouting off. But my wife's recently gotten into the band after I'd just been spinning around the house, and now she knows it. Yeah, North Hills. It's from 2009. But they have one line in a song that, like, I don't take away a lot of lyrics from a song, but sometimes 4 words kicks me in the dick harder than anything else in life could.
Yeah.
And the line is, love is not convenient. And it's like...
It's a great line.
That is the painful truth.
It's a great line.
And I turned to my wife last night when we were driving home, and they sang that line. And I said, when you first came along, you were so inconvenient that I had to rearrange my entire life to make room for you. and it is the best thing that has ever happened to me.
That's a bar right there.
Dude, someone else summed it up in 4 words. It's like, I am not the poet of that. I am the one who, as any great listener feels, they summed up something that I could not comprehend the words to put to the feeling.
Yeah.
And they did it in love is not convenient. It's like, oh, thank God you said that.
Say it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tattoo it on my lower back.
Come on.
Yeah, because sometimes you ever write something that you didn't know what it meant then, but then a year or 2 later you found out you needed that line yourself? You were your own cathartic writer?
Probably. I would say probably.
It's hard to put a finger on what exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like you almost get deja vu via song. You know, it's like you write something for your future self, but you don't exactly know what it's about. And then you get there, you're like, oh, goddamn.
Found it. Found it.
Found it.
Found it.
Well, is there anything that you'd like to promote as we start to conclude today, brother?
Keep checking out Matt Waters. He's the best in the biz.
Your trash bag. We're not here for that. Come on, Kyle.
And yeah, just if you want to check out where I'm playing next, Facebook, Instagram, come on.
Spell your last name real quick.
Hackett. That's a double T.
Shabango.
Yeah, come out and see me, man. I'd love to hang out with you guys and
Make
jam
sure you
out.
friend on Facebook. Make Kyle Hackett famous. Currently 2 friends.
That's so funny.
We could see how that goes. There's a YouTube channel that is currently
so funny.
unattended. That
Unattended.
if we pressure you into it, maybe we'll get something good out
I
of
think
this.
I have, some really shitty clips when I was 18 on there. That's about it. If you want to check those out, they're really embarrassing. Come on. I'm here for it.
Kyle, you are my brother. I adore the things you do, the person you are, and the good graces to get to be around you for whatever we choose to do next.
I love you, brother.
Love you. I'll catch you soon. Friends, this is the Weekly Wave. Thanks for watching. Kiss your grandmother and somebody else's, and thanks for hanging out. Peace. Shouldn't have said that. Fuck.
No, you're